Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to Ghostly Crimes. I'm Nicholas, and tonight we walk into a story bleeding from the cracks of power. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was attacked at a Minneapolis town hall, sprayed with a strong-smelling chemical substance. Witnesses describe a sudden aerosol burst, sharp, acrid, like ammonia mixed with metal. The smell clung to the room like a bad memory. President Trump responded, hinting at de-escalation. Is this a genuine retreat or damage control after weeks of protests and tragic deaths? The suspect remains unnamed, and the substance is still being tested. Minneapolis feels haunted by its own policies. In the courts, the fight for truth intensifies. What happens when the enforcement machine turns on its own creators? This is Ghostly Crimes. Like, subscribe and tell us, was this attack random or something bigger? Stay in the shadows. A moment that feels less like politics and more like a curse unleashed. If you missed the first part, go watch it now, because this story is deepening, the details are emerging, and the darkness is spreading. Let's dive deeper into what really happened, what we know now, and why this feels like the crack in the ice that's been waiting to break. The attack was swift and surreal. During a packed town hall focused on the federal immigration crackdown, the very operation that's already claimed lives like Pretti Renee Good, a man pushed through the crowd and sprayed Omar directly with a strong-smelling aerosol substance. Witnesses describe it as sharp, chemical, burning the eyes and throat, with a metallic, almost industrial aftertaste that lingered for hours. Omar recoiled on stage, coughing violently, security swarming in seconds to tackle the attacker and drag him away. She was treated immediately, no hospitalization needed, but the incident left the room in chaos, attendees fleeing, some vomiting from the fumes. Video from the event shows Omar wiping her face, her voice steady but strained as she tried to continue. This is what fear looks like, but we will not be silenced. The suspect, identified as 42-year-old David Michael Hanson, a local resident with no prior violent record but a history of anti-Omar social media posts, was arrested on the spot. Charges include assault and disorderly conduct, with possible federal hate crime enhancements under review. The substance? Early lab tests confirm it was a homemade chemical irritant, a mix of pepper extract, ammonia, and an unidentified solvent that causes intense burning without permanent damage. But here's where it gets eerie. Hanson reportedly shouted nothing during the attack. No words, no manifesto, just the spray, and then a blank stare as security took him down. In interrogation footage leaked to local media, he claims he had to do it because she's not from here, echoing rhetoric straight from Trump's past rallies targeting Omar. Hanson has no known ties to organized groups, but his online history is a rabbit hole of conspiracy threads, QAnon-adjacent posts, and repeated shares of Trump's old tweets calling Omar anti-American. President Trump's response has been calculated. Hours after the attack, he posted on social media suggesting he might look to de-escalate federal operations in Minneapolis, a city he's turned into ground zero for his immigration surge. This comes after weeks of raids, the Pretti shooting backlash, protests, and even criticism from his own base. Trump didn't condemn the attack directly. Instead, he framed it as part of broader tensions and praised his agents as phenomenal. But the shift is undeniable. Border czar Tom Homan is on the ground, some agents are pulling out, and Gregory Bovino, the lead Border Patrol official, is reportedly leaving the city. Is this de-escalation real, or a ghost retreat to avoid more political blood on his hands? Trump has targeted Omar for years. Go back to your country, chants at rallies, accusations of terrorism sympathy, rhetoric that many say inspired this very kind of violence. The timing feels too perfect, like a shadow finally stepping into the light. Omar's response was powerful. In a statement from the hospital, she said, "This is not about me. This is about a climate of hate that has been stoked for years. But we will not be intimidated. We will keep fighting for justice." Her office confirmed the substance caused temporary respiratory irritation, but no long-term effects. Yet attendees whisper of something off, the way the smell clung to clothes for days, how some still taste metal when they think about it. Conspiracy circles are buzzing. Was it just a lone actor, or something orchestrated to silence a voice that's challenged Trump since day one? This attack doesn't exist in isolation. It's the latest specter in a haunted Minneapolis. The Pretti shooting video contradicting terrorist claims, Renee Good's death, tear gas clouds, National Guard on streets, lawsuits to halt the 3,000-agent surge. Governor Walz has demanded full independent probes and agent reductions. The courts are circling, judges questioning motives, evidence preservation fights, and now this, an assault on one of Trump's loudest critics, right as he hints at pulling back. Coincidence, or the machinery of fear turning on itself? Tonight, Minneapolis feels like a city possessed. Protests continue outside the town hall venue, chants of "Protect Ilhan," mixing with calls to end the raids. The air is thick with suspicion, the kind that lingers like that chemical smell. Immigration enforcement operations, where federal authority has collided with local resistance, use of force has left bodies in its wake, and the human cost is becoming impossible to ignore. This isn't just policy. This is a haunting clash of control, accountability, and something darker moving in the open. Let's peel back the layers. At the center of this storm are two names that have become ghosts in Minneapolis: Pretti and Renee Good. Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse and U.S. citizen, was shot and killed by federal agents on January 24th during a raid. Videos show agents wrestling him to the ground before the fatal shots, contradicting early claims he was a domestic terrorist planning to massacre law enforcement. Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother of three, was killed by ICE agent Jonathan Ross on January 7th. A private autopsy commissioned by her family revealed she was shot 3 times, once in the arm, once in the chest, and once in the head. Some reconstructions suggest 4 wounds. She was unarmed. Both deaths happened under the same federal surge, the largest immigration operation ever in Minnesota, with up to 3,000 agents deployed. These cases highlight the raw tension between federal and local authority. Minneapolis and St. Paul police were initially denied access to the Pretti scene. State investigators are fighting in federal court to preserve evidence and compel cooperation, fearing destruction of body cam footage, witness statements, or other material. A judge is weighing a temporary order to block federal tampering, while another lawsuit seeks to halt the entire 3,000-agent deployment. The judge has pressed the Trump administration's lawyers on motives. Why this scale? Why now? Why Minneapolis? No rulings yet, but the courtroom feels charged, like a ghost story waiting for the next chapter. Use of force is the sharpest edge of this conflict. In both shootings, videos and witness accounts challenge the official narrative. Pretti's struggle ended in gunfire after being taken to the ground. Good was shot multiple times, including a fatal head wound. ICE and DHS insist agents acted in self-defense, but the family's private autopsy, bystander footage, and 3D reconstructions tell a different story. The question hangs heavy. Was this necessary? Or has aggressive enforcement crossed into something more lethal, more reckless? The Minneapolis Police Department has publicly distanced itself from federal operations, refusing to assist raids, a rare and telling fracture between local and federal power. And then there's the human cost, the part that haunts the most. Pretti was a nurse who spent his life saving others, biking trails, walking his dog, helping neighbors. Renee Good was a mother of 3, a poet, a singer, a creative soul who loved her community. Their deaths have left families shattered, children without parents, and a city in mourning. Protests have filled the streets with chants, signs, and tears. Tear gas has clouded the air. The National Guard has been called in. The city feels like it's under siege, not from criminals, but from the very forces meant to protect. The human toll isn't abstract statistics. It's grieving mothers, orphaned children, and a community asking, how many more? President Trump has responded with a mix of defiance and tactical retreat. After weeks of backlash, even from some of his own supporters, he posted that he would look to de-escalate operations in Minneapolis. Some agents are reportedly pulling out. Tonight, Minneapolis feels like a city possessed. 2 lives lost, a congresswoman sprayed in public, agents leaving, a president hinting at retreat. And through it all, the question that won't leave: What happens when the enforcement machine turns on its own creators? That's tonight's deep dive on ghostly crimes. If this story left you uneasy, if you felt that cold prickle on the back of your neck, then hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next whisper from the darkness. This is Nicholas, signing off from the edge. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, the truth doesn't always rest quietly. The latest twist came this morning, and it's the kind of development that makes the air feel heavier. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, already a lightning rod for President Trump's rhetoric, was attacked at a town hall dedicated to the immigration enforcement surge that has gripped Minneapolis for weeks. A man pushed through the crowd and sprayed her directly with a strong-smelling aerosol substance, described by witnesses as sharp, chemical, metallic, burning the eyes and throat like ammonia mixed with something industrial. Security tackled him within seconds, but the damage was done. Omar recoiled, coughing violently, hands pressed to her face. She was treated on site, temporary respiratory irritation, no long-term harm reported, but the smell lingered in the room like a bad omen. The suspect, identified as 42-year-old David Michael Hanson, a local Minneapolis resident with no prior violent criminal record, has been charged with assault and disorderly conduct, with federal hate crime enhancements under review. Early lab tests confirmed the substance was a homemade irritant, pepper extract, ammonia, and an unidentified solvent that causes intense burning without permanent damage. But here's where the shadows deepen. Hanson reportedly said nothing during the attack. No manifesto, no shouted slogan, just the spray, and then a blank, almost vacant stare as security took him down. In initial interrogation leaks to local media, he claimed he had to do it because she's not from here. Words that eerily mirror language Trump has used in rallies and tweets targeting Omar for years. His social media is a rabbit hole of conspiracy threads, anti-Omar posts, and repeated shares of Trump's old rhetoric calling her anti-American. No known ties to organized groups, but the echo feels too perfect. Lone wolf or something stirred awake. President Trump's response was swift and layered. Hours after the attack, he posted on social media that he would look to de-escalate federal operations in Minneapolis, the same city he's turned into ground zero for his immigration surge. From a man who has called Omar a terrorist sympathizer, garbage, and worse, the shift feels deliberate. He didn't condemn the attack outright. Instead, he framed it as part of tensions in the city and praised his agents as phenomenal. But the timing is uncanny. The attack happens, and suddenly, de-escalation is on the table. Border czar Tom Homan is already on the ground. Some agents are reportedly pulling out. Omar's response was powerful and unflinching. In a statement from the scene, she said, "This is not about me. This is about a climate of hate that has been stoked for years. But we will not be intimidated. We will keep fighting for justice." She continued the town hall despite the chaos, refusing to be silenced. But in Minneapolis, where the city is already scarred, protests over Pretti and Good's deaths, tear gas clouds, National Guard boots on the ground, this incident has poured fuel on the fire. Crowds gathered outside the venue chanting her name, signs reading, "Protect Ilhan" and "End the raids." The air feels thick, like something unseen is watching from the edges. This attack does not happen in isolation. Omar has faced death threats, doxing, and relentless harassment for years, much of it amplified by Trump's own words. This is the first physical assault of this kind, and it lands at a moment when the immigration surge has left Minneapolis feeling like a battleground. That's tonight's deep dive on ghostly crimes. If this story left you uneasy, if you felt that cold prickle on the back of your neck, then hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next whisper from the darkness. Drop a comment below. Do you think the attack was random or part of something bigger?